Hello students, I hope you are all fine and happy. Now I welcome you all to this English class. Standard 10, Unit 1 is First Flight. Before we getting into the lesson, let's know about the author. The author of the lesson is Liam O'Flaherty. He is an Irish novelist and short story writer. He is a major figure of the Irish Renaissance. He was a founding member of the Communist Party of Ireland. Some of his best short stories were written in Irish. His autobiography, Shame the Evil, was published in 1934. His novel, The Informer, was made into a film. His First Flight and The Sniper are regarded as some of his best short stories. Collections of his short stories and letters were republished after his death. He is regarded as a strong voice for Irish nature and his culture. Dear students, look at this picture. This picture is given in the warm-up page. Whom do you see there? Yes, you see many great personalities. What is special about them all? Why do we talk about them now? Have they done something special? Do you find anything common among these personalities? Though they are not with us, still we talk about them. Why? If you answer to all these questions, you will come to know that these personalities have done something what others haven't done. As a part of warm-up, let us know a little more about them. Look at this picture. First one, Marco Polo was a Venetian merchant, explorer, and writer who traveled through Asia. Next, Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer and navigator who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean. Next, Ibn Battuta was a medieval scholar who traveled more than 75,000 miles across the world. Next person, Americo Vespucci was an Italian merchant, explorer, and navigator from the Republic of Florence, from whose name the term America is derived. Next, Yuan Shuang was a Chinese Buddhist monk, scholar, traveler, and translator who traveled to India in the 17th century. Next personality, Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who, with a fleet of 5 ships, discovered a western sea route to the Spice Islands. En route, he discovered what is now known as the Strait of Magellan and became the first European to cross the Pacific Ocean. Next personality, Bartholomew Dias was a Portuguese explorer who set up the route from Europe to Asia. Next personality, Herodotus was a Greek historian, author of the first great narrative history. Next person, Captain James Cook was a British navigator, explorer, and the captain in the British Navy. And the last person, Vasco da Gama, was a Portuguese explorer and the first European to reach India by sea. These personalities were the travelers, explorers, navigators, whose bravery paved way for many discoveries. If you see the next part, Mahatma Gandhi, Che Guevara, Guru Nanak, Gautama Buddha are some of the famous personalities and thinkers who made extensive journeys to understand life. If you look at the next, a great saying, that is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind, said Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong was an American aeronautical engineer and the first person to walk on the moon. He set foot on the moon on 20th July 1969. His daring decision to travel to moon resulted breaking the fear of mankind to travel in space and to the other planets. Likewise, let us see in our prose lesson how the young seagull made his first flight after many trials and tribulations. Likewise, let us see in our prose lesson how the young seagull made his first flight after many trials and tribulations. Now let's see glossary. Ledge. The meaning of ledge is a narrow shelf that juts out from a vertical surface, shrilly producing a high-pitched and piercing voice or sound. Herring, a long silver fish that swims in a large group in the sea. Devour, to eat something eagerly and in large amounts so that nothing is left. Cackle, a sharp, broken noise or cry of a hen, goose or seagull. Mackerel, a sea fish with a strong taste, often used as food. Gnaw, to bite or chew something repeatedly. Trot, to run at a moderate pace with short steps. Precipice, a very steep side of a cliff or a mountain. Whet, to sharpen. Preening, cleaning feathers with beak. Plaintively, sadly, calling in a sad way. Swoop, to move very quickly and easily through the air. Beckoning, making a gesture with the hand or head to encourage someone to approach or follow. Now let's see in gist what is all about his first flight. His first flight by Liam O'Flaherty is a true parable about overcoming fears in life. Every journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But that single step is the most difficult one to make. When we conquer the fear and venture forth, we will realize that we are born with wings. Maybe to take an example, think of your childhood, how you started walking, how you started speaking. So all that will tell you that there was some step or there was some beginning which made you easier when the time went on, which made you conquer that particular skill. The story is an account of a young bird that is afraid to fly for the first time. He believes that his wings wouldn't support him. Despite his younger siblings flying fearlessly with much shorter wings, he could not gather the courage to do the same. What happened? He was punished to stay hungry if he did not try. Thus, it was his mother that compelled him to fly by using food as a trap. The lesson reflects how one hesitates to take first step, and that fear is all in the mind. One should trust one's ability, because the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. The story is about a young seagull who is at that stage of life where he has to learn to fly. As we learn to walk, as we learn to speak, as we learn any new thing, so it is a part and parcel of each and everyone's life. Unlike his younger brothers and sisters, he is too afraid to fly. When all of them went for flying for the first time near the edge of the sea, all of them except him succeeded, because they didn't have fear. He could not trust his wings. He got terrified by the vast sea and got convinced that he could never fly. As a result, what happened? He was ashamed and disheartened, and thus went inside the ledge where he slept last night. His younger siblings managed to take their first flight, despite their wings being shorter than his, but he could not summon courage, though he tried so desperately. He was scolded by his parents for not trying again, but he was so afraid that he could not even move. So it happens even in our lives. Many times we never give a try. We always think that it would not go right, that we would not come successful. We should always try to make a try. Now, he had been alone for a day after he tried, because his parents were busy focusing on his siblings. They helped his siblings master the art of flying and diving for food, that is, fish. His older sibling even caught his first fish, which he proudly ate at a rock while his parents celebrated it. That morning, his parents taunted him all the way for being a coward. The sun had now risen, and he was feeling the heat more than ever, because he was empty stomach since the night before. He stepped out of his ledge and pretended to sleep on one leg to gain the attention of his family. Still, no one noticed him. His siblings were sleeping. His father was cleaning his feather with his beak, and his mother was standing on another plateau eating fish while she noticed him. The seagull got mad on seeing the fish because he was very hungry. He loved to tear away his fish and scrap his beak now and then. He cried in hunger to his mom, while his mother screamed back angrily. He kept crying, which soon turned into a joyful scream, all the sight of his mother flying towards him with a piece of fish. He got excited as she came nearer and thus leaned forward. She stooped. Suddenly, she stopped not too far from him. Out of excitement and hunger, he dived at the fish without realizing for a moment that he was afraid to fly. He got so excited that he fell as soon as he tried. For a moment, he was in a shock and stood still out of terror. All this lasted only for a moment, and soon what happened? His feathers opened and he flied. He could feel the wind against his breast feathers, stomach and his wings. He could feel himself cutting through the air. He was not afraid anymore. He was just a bit nervous, and then his mother accompanied him. The whole family screamed out of excitement, thus celebrating his victory over fear. Once he overcame his fear, he forgot that he was once afraid of it. He did all those things he once feared. He flew straight over the sea and could see greenery and mountains beneath him. He screamed out of joy as he enjoyed the victory. Now, when he landed, his family landed along with him as a gesture that they were proud. They were screaming and shouting in excitement in their high-pitched voices. He then went into the sea, where at first he got scared and thus panicked. He tried escaping but got tired and weak because of hunger. Thus, when he calmed down, he started floating in the sea he was once afraid of. His family was celebrating in excitement and offered him food as praise. Finally, he had overcome his fear and had made his first flight. Students, now let's sum up the key points that we have seen so far. His first flight is an interesting story of a young seagull who was afraid of flying. That's the first one. What's the second thing that happened? What's the second thing? He did not have confidence. He was full of pessimism. Next point, his parents, brothers, sisters encouraged, scolded, tempted, and taunted him to make his first flight. But what happened? But he did not have enough courage to fly. Next, he was left alone for 24 hours and he ate nothing. He was extremely hungry. He begged his mother for food. The next point, she picked up a piece of fish and flew across him. Then what happened? The sight of food maddened him. He dived. He cried and screamed. His wings opened up automatically. He flapped up his wings. His family joined him in his first flight and praised him for his efforts. They offered him scraps of dogfishes. So these are the orders of at the end, he is able to make his first flight. Dear students, I hope you have understood the lesson. Now let's see the assessment part of it. A. Answer the following question in a sentence or two. So you have few questions in your book. The first question is, how was the young seagull's first attempt to fly? So now you remember the story just we have seen. The young seagull attempted to flap his wings and became afraid. So the second question is, how did the parents support and encourage the young seagull's brothers and sister? So what is the answer? The seagull's parents flew with his brothers and sister. They helped them in the perfect art of flying. They taught them to glide on the waves and dive for fish. The next question, Give an instance that shows the pathetic condition of young bird. We have seen in the story that the bird hasn't eaten for 24 hours. The bird was afraid to fly with his brothers and sister. He was alone. He was left all alone there. He had no food. He even chewed the dried pieces of eggshell. We'll go to the next question. How did the bird try to reach its parents without having to fly? The bird walked from one end of the ledge to the other to reach its parents without flying. Let's see the next question. Do you think that the young seagull's parents were harsh to him? Why? No. The seagull's parents were not harsh. They wanted the young seagull to learn the skill of flying. Next question. What prompted the young seagull to fly finally? Go back to the story. Recollect? Yes. What prompted the seagull? The sight of food maddened him and he dived at the fish. This prompted the young seagull to fly finally. The next question. What happened to the seagull when it landed on the green sea? The young seagull's feet sank into the green sea and it was floating on it. Now you have one paragraph question. Let's see that also. Describe the struggle underwent by the young seagull to overcome its fear of flying. The young seagull one among the 4 offsprings. He was not courageous, first thing. He was alone on the ledge. His parents, brothers and sister had flown away. He was afraid of flying. The little bird felt that his wings wouldn't support him. What happened next? The young bird's parents, brothers and sister not only scolded but also encouraged him. But he didn't have enough courage to fly. He was left alone for many hours. He could find nothing except the dried pieces of eggshells. He felt that he was starving to death. The young bird was very hungry. He begged his mother to bring a piece of fish. His parents wanted to teach him to fly. The mother seagull picked up a piece of fish. She flew across him. The sight of food maddened him. He cried and screamed. His wings opened up automatically. He flapped his wings. He realized that he was flying. The young bird's family was very happy. Why? Because he is able to make his first flight. His mother divided him. His father flew over him. His brothers and sisters were flying around him. His family joined him in his first flight. They praised him for his efforts. He was offered scraps of dogfish. So that's the reward that he got at the end. And they were all so happy. So this story clearly tells you that you should have a fear and should always take that first step with courage. The story speaks about the reluctance and courage of the bird. So we can conclude this lesson saying confidence is the key to success. I wish you all the best to succeed in your life. Thank you.